Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. So tonight I'm doing a tutorial, and the tutorial is on how to colorise black and white or sepia toned images. There's a new feature brought out in Photoshop and as part of the neural filters that are in the cloud. So tonight what I'll do is I'll walk you through the tutorial. It's a fantastic feature. Again, it's all to everyone's taste, so what I'll show you is the basics and how to make the changes, how to do the edits. And when it comes to colour schemes, I'll leave that to you because it'll all be to personal taste. So let's crack on. I'll move over to the tutorial and I hope you enjoy it. So now we're in Photoshop. What I'll do is I'll zoom in this image. So this is a 60-plus-year-old image that's been scanned in. That's actually my mum, my uncle and my aunt. And what you'll see is there's quite a lot of damage to this image. We've got perforated rough edges. There's been some damage here where the kind of photos that's either had sellotape and it's rubbed away. Someone's written on it with pen and you've got a watermark here. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll make a copy. So if I double click on the thumbnail and press duplicate, and in that way I've at least got something to do a comparison with to show you the before and after. So to colorise the photo first, in Photoshop, if you go to Filter and then select Neural Filters. Now up pops the Neural Filters menu bar, and within the Neural Filters what you'll start to see is there's a lot of features that have clouds with a down arrow. And what that means is you would download those features from the Adobe Cloud. So colorise is what we're looking for, and that allows you to take a black and white photo or a sepia type toned photo and convert it to colour as close as you possibly can. So if I turn that on, what it does is it has an attempt at colouring the photo for us. So you'll notice there's quite a few discrepancies. There's different colours on the dress here, and then over here we've got different colours of the dress, and there's a bit of a blemish in the background colour difference, but that may correct itself because sometimes it takes a while for the computer to process all the colour changes all at once, so there's sometimes a lag. So if I show you, what you can do is using these sliders you can start to adjust the reds, the cyans, you can shift the blues and the yellows. So if I slide the slider over to yellows, you'll see what I mean. And if I go over to the blues, it'll make the photograph a lot more colder. You can adjust the focus and scene colour, and then you can adjust the focus out of scene colour. And what that tends to do is it tends to affect some of the highlights. You've also got saturation, so I can turn saturation on and off. So if I up the slider, then you can see it increasing the saturation, and then I can actually lower the saturation. So for example, if you do have a sepia toned image and you slide the bar to the left, you'll then get a black and white image. Well, not quite a true black and white image, but you'll get a desaturated image. You can also reduce colour artifacts. So let's see what that does. So what that does is it just takes a bit of the saturation out, but I'll keep that in the centre line. We've also got a noise reduction, although this is quite a clear scanned image, so there's not a lot of noise in this image. But if you had a lot of grain on the photo, if you selected the noise reduction and then slid it across, that would start to reduce the noise. Some images you can retain the grain, and then what we can do is make other kind of fine-tuning adjustments. But what I'll do is I'll show you a little trick, because what you can start to do is make localized changes. So if I select that area of the dress and I do OK, then what that will do is that will correct the colour of the dress as close to the proximity of these other areas of the dress. But if I want to change the colour of the dress, I select the highlight, I press the swatch, and then what I can do is, if I say B84545, change the colour swatch, that makes that change. So if I select that area of the dress, I can then replicate that colour scheme in that area of the dress, and again, if I select the skirt, I can replicate that area. So the principle will be the same for the background. So in the background, if I select the background, I say, like, let's can detune the background a bit, and we'll make it a dark grey or a light grey. So if I make it a light grey, let's see the difference in the change, and then that starts to put a light grey in. So let's change that colour, because that's, I wonder if we make it white. I've selected the white, it's not true white. So again, a lot of this is going to be trial and error because it's old photos and you're kind of looking for matches. So if I warm the background up a bit, so if I go back to yellows, see if I can get some kind of, see if I go too dark, so if I do a dark colour, let's see if that works. For whatever reason, there you go, and I'll click here, and then we've got a dark grey. So what I could do is try and lighten that, although that's actually not a bad colour scheme. It would be nicer if it was a bit warmer. So let me try, I'm just experimenting here on colours, see how that looks. It's a bit yellowy. So if I go back and I note the colour, if I try and make it a bit bluey, let's try out, see how that looks. Yeah, that looks a wee bit nicer. So if I take note of this colour, so that is BFA or 8FA 2A6. So that's the colour code for the colour that we've selected. And if I select this marker, select the colour swatch, and I key in the number 8FA2A6, that selects that colour for me. And if I do the same on the last marker, and I do 8FA2A6, then our background's consistent. So the other thing I've noticed is there's a colour difference between this side of that dress and that dress. So obviously that dress is red. So what I can do is I can select, if I select that portion of the dress, that's made it grey. So if we go back to the reds, if we make it a brighter red, and if we pick, say, a pink, and if I take note of the colour code here, because I'm going to adjust that side of the dress to make sure it's the same colour. So if I do F26889, select OK, and then when I select this side and I key in the number F26889, and then that should change. That's my apologies, I've selected the wrong selector. So if I undo, Control Z or Command Z, if I select on the top, then that changes that area of the top to the same colour. So we've got a balance there. Now what we can do is, let's look at the saturation and let's see if we can increase the saturation on the colours and see how that looks, or if we reduce the saturation, we'll see how that looks. So again, I'm just showing you how we can use the sliders and the features to enhance the image. And to be fair, everyone's going to have their own taste, so you'll have your own colour schemes. I'm only doing this to apply this to the tutorial, just so that you get an idea of what's possible. I'm going to desaturate that a bit because for me it looks just a wee bit nicer if it's desaturated, because I don't want it oversaturated. And there we have a colour image. So if I select OK, and then you'll start to see the difference between the grey, the black and white, or the sepia, and the colour. So if I select these two and merge them down, now what we want to do is amend these blemishes. So if I go to the spot healing brush, and if I reduce the size of the brush and I just slide it down, then that starts to take out a lot of the blemishes. If I zoom in, it will let you see. So we've got some white spots here, and then we'll take out all these black spots and kind of blemishes in the paper. Again, you need to adjust the size of the brush depending on how close you get to your subjects, just in case the spot healing brush takes the content away from the subject. So there's a blemish in the hair, so I can fix that. There's some blemishes up here, and all I'm doing is I'm clicking on these blemishes with the spot healing brush to remove them. Now this watermark, so I can either go around the edge, and we'll just see how well the spot healing brush manages that. Not too bad. So the other option I could do is just drag, increase the size of the brush. There you go, that's done the trick. And then what I'm looking for now is smaller blemishes. Take those blemishes out, and again on the side of the image, if I reduce the size of the brush, I can slide the brush up the edge of the photograph, and there you have it. We get a little bit here, there's a line there that can be corrected. So if I just slide the healing brush across the line, that will remove the line. So if we just keep scanning around, there's a tear or a fold. If I use a spot healing brush, that takes that out. The edges I'm not too worried about at this stage, because we'll crop the image and that'll remove a lot of the impurities at the side of the image. So I'm looking for other, there's a wee blemish on the dress. Now here's the ink, so I'm just going to fix some of the white spots that's on the jumper here. And now what I want to do is repair these ink lines. So if I increase the brush just a small bit, and the trick here is just to do small bits at a time, because if you try and do it all at once, the spot healing brush will look for content round about it, and it doesn't always work. So it's best in these instances just to do small bits at a time, work your way around, and it does actually start to take out the impurities before your eyes. So we've got all this ink, all the ink markings are gone, and there's a couple of black spots, must be either dust on the image or maybe for the scanner. Take away some of the white spots on the skin. So what we're just trying to do is go through it. You can spend a lot more time doing this. I'm doing this quite quickly just because it's a tutorial, and just to give you an idea, you can use this functionality, this new feature. So if I zoom into the corner of the image, what you'll see is there's a lot of blemishes here from a fold in the photograph. So again, just applying that principle, what we can do is just slowly take away. If I reduce the size of the brush, we can slowly remove all these tears. Again, this area here, if I just highlight that, hopefully that smoothens it out. There we go. And we have a cleanish image. So now if I zoom out, what I'll do is, I've just spotted a blemish here, and there's also a big fold in the centre of the photograph. So if we increase the size of the photograph and then just slide, not going close to the head, and then that takes out that imperfection in the centre of the image. Right, so if I select the crop tool and if I rotate the image and make it level, I'll zoom out, and then what I can do is select clear, so that then gives me full control of the crop. Right, so if I move in and I move up just a tad, hit return, and there we have a cropped image. So now we've got some elements to the corners. So if I go back to the healing brush and just slide the healing brush along the edges and the corner, the healing brush will fix these imperfections for you. And in most cases, the healing brush does a really good job. And again, just stick to the principle of doing small bits at a time. And there you have a more or less clean image. So if I do a before and after, so that's the before, you can see all the markings, all the ink, all the water drops. If I do the after, we've now got a clean image. So the only thing left to do is, if I want to put a border on it, what I can do now is go to image and then go to canvas size, and then what I could do is make sure I've got white selected, select centimeters. If I just say 10 centimeters width, 10 centimeters height, that's too much, so we'll just go back. If I do image, increase canvas size, go back to centimeters, and if I say 3 centimeters or say 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, then we get a wee white image, and there you go. We've got a final coloured image with a border. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I hope you learned how to colorise and use the new colorise feature, but equally how you can actually touch up and clean up an image. So take all the imperfections out, all the blemishes, any tears, any folds. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do. You know it's free. And if you press the bell notification, that'll notify you the next time I post a video. So thank you, and here's to the next video.